today. Their score was tied 1-1 in their head-to-head. Unicorns won that first game here today. And the thing that stands out to me, Raz, is when you look at the 3 times that they've already played against each other, it's been pretty one-sided each time, despite the fact that it is a 2-1 score. Unicorns stop the first one, then Pentanet comes back and slaps them, and they come back and slap Pentanet. But now, Pentanet has to be the ones to win this game. If they lose here, they are eliminated. Unicorns will love move on. That's it.
It's an absolute must. That's why the early game is really important. Taking a look at Pentanet, I was interested to see if they had a lead, can they convert it? What they do in playing around Pabu early. And they did just that, like you said. Like they were able to convert their advantage very effectively. And listening to the interviews from Pabu after their first few days, they made it very clear that engage is what they want. And that they feel confident in how to play the game as long as they have just, took the lessons that the previous games gave them and applied it. So I'm feeling confident that this should be a competitive game. It's just that it's more of a question on, is Unicorns a love learning? Are they growing? Like they said, not getting tilted. Coming into this one, what lessons are they taking from it? Because beginning of the day, I was like, wait a minute, they're picking Rumble. They're banning it when they're going up against it. But then we just saw that previous game, and it felt like they were still having remnants of confidence with Nidalee versus Rumble. Stomp that out.
Yeah, please get rid of it. Based on what we saw last game, Nidalee has no business being in the same game as Rumble. At all. So I want to see Unicorns ban Rumble on red side. And this is not a Unicorns exclusive thing. I feel like I want to see everybody that plays League of Legends ban Rumble on red side because the champion is just so broken you couldn't fix him with 9 rolls of duct tape and about 4 pounds of super glue. He's busted. Get him out of there if you're on the red side. Don't let him take it. Okay. Pentanet's just saying, you know what? We don't want Rumble at all. We're not going to let you make the choice. We're getting rid of him ourselves. It's Rumble, Lucian, Morgana, and Udyr all banned away so far.
A lot of junglers on the table. A lot of top-tier junglers still there. So, we haven't seen as much Lilia, but Lilia is still a good pick, so people should recognize that. Tristana and Varus have usually been, still very high priority when there are this many priority bans being, registered. So I'm expecting Varus. If they don't want to go Varus, then they can still go towards something like Tristana, have that flex. I want to see what Pentanet has to offer here.
Okay, last ban. Before we get to that first half of picks, what's it going to be? The Alistar was banned away now by Pentanet, and Varus is banned now too. So first pick, just insta-locking the Nidalee. Okay. How do we feel about this, Raz? How do we feel here?
I'm okay with it because you recognize there are a lot of bans there. The only concern is that we've seen a lot of games with Nidalee versus Lilia, and Lilia is able to path very clearly. Now, and also remember, Ananasik, when he goes up against picks like Nidalee, he loves assassins. The Kha'Zix is what he's played previously in his domestic split. Nocturne is something that's also on the table. So Nidalee has a lot of vulnerabilities before she gets stopwatch. So they can take that, focus down Pabu. I want to see what the rest of the draft looks like.
Okay, well, we've already got the Nautilus here for Unicorns of Love. So there's some tankiness, there's some CC, there's some easy target access there by allowing yourself to just throw anybody up into the air with a point and click. And we'll get the Kai'Sa next to it. So instantly going for both bottom laners here for UOL.
Yeah, so I want to see, Predath and Decoy have actually had a pretty large champion pool. They've gone towards Kog'Maw, Lulu in the past. I don't expect that to be the case here, but just saying that they can make use of this double counter if they want to. Galio being the pick, we're already scrapping. I love this hover.
Ooh, do you think they...
Yeah.
Okay, we got it. It's Samira locked in for Pentanet. They are going for that solo Q special, baby.
And they already have the Galio to wombo with that in the team fight. If it's the Nidalee diving through, if it's the same with, of course, her as well and Samira, Galio is going to be able to follow. I want to see what the primary engage looks like for this team because I do want to see a better delivery system. Nocturne gets locked in. We don't know where that's going.
Right.
We've always said that it is a great triple flex towards top, mid, and jungle, and I respect Nomads enough to be willing to play something like this.
And I love seeing that kind of a flex as your last pick before we get into the second half of the bans because it means that you could trick your opponents into just banning some completely worthless junk that you were never going to play anyway.
Yeah, it always feels bad. Never want to split bans too for different lanes. You want to make the best effective use of it. And so if you're Pentanet, you're looking across the board and saying, well, they do need to still pick. We want to force the Nocturne maybe to be a jungler. Maybe just start banning jungles because you already look towards the jungle bans that already exist. It's the Udyr, the Rumble, the Morgana as well. They've levied a lot of jungle bans, so you can pile on top of that and make it difficult for Anonastic to get the best option in a 4-5.
Well, we've got the Karthus and Renekton banned away as the first couple here, so one ban left for either side. Urgot banned away by the side of Unicorns of Love, so they are targeting the top lane here. Orianna will be the last ban of this draft.
All right, so they're still splitting it. And we'll say, though, that the Galio is also a flex. It could be a mid lane. I would like it for it to be a support. I think it has a lot of great defensive options versus, like, let's say the Nautilus. If he hooks him in, you know, you can get a taunt and you can still find a way out. So I think that's the better option. If you put it mid, there are just way too many mid laners that can punish you. Forgot about the Lee Sin pick.
Oh, baby.
Unicorns of Love locked that in there for themselves.
All right, so now we've got Lee, we've got Nocturne. They can swap back and forth however they want to play these for whatever feels the most advantageous. Good lord, man, 71% win rate. I might say that Lee Sin's pretty strong in this current meta, Raz.
Pretty broken. We saw what Armit was able to do in the top lane where they get a solo kill versus Camille. It's just such a strong champion in this iteration. So difficult to, like, honestly build against him in lane. Getting the set pick now, I think that, once again, it still could go anywhere. It could be a support set, could be a top lane set. We'll see when the full draft comes out. They have to lock it in here.
Oh, come on, lock that in.
Yeah.
Lock that in. Pick that. Zed or bed. Zed or bed.
Probably bed, but you know,
No. Zed or bed. We're staying awake. We're staying awake, Raz. Come on, lock it in. Lock it in. Lock it in. Yeah, baby, we got the Zed. You said that there was probably going to be bed. No, that is a Zed. Hell yeah.
Unreal. Pentanet's throwing everything at them. When they started out in this tournament and we got to see the fiddlesticks from Pabu, I was like, how deep can this team go? And we're seeing it here. That's going to be a Zed for Chaz. He's going to Chaz it up here.
Okay, we've got the Zed locked in, so we know that that's going mid. We still have to see which one out of Set and Galio might go support or top. Granted, top lane Galio is pretty rare, so I doubt you're going to see that. It should be Galio in a support role. You got Set up there in the top lane. Over here on the side of Unicorns, last pick of the draft is Vlad. So it'll be Nocturne top against Set. You've got Lee Sin versus Nidalee in the jungle. This is like one of the classic jungle matchups whenever the jungle meta has always been fast-paced. And then you've got Vlad versus Zed in mid.
This is just, I'm going to say it again. I know we've said it too many times, and I want to hear it. I want to make it so Quick Shot can hear it. A full send dive.
You guys are just bullying him at this point.
Absolutely. He's way too old. He needs to learn. So it's just a great dive composition from Pentanet on towards Unicorns of Love. So I'm looking at Logic. I'm looking at No Man's. They have, some good defensive mechanisms, and also, like, Kai'Sa doesn't actually need to be there at the beginning of the team fight. She has an ultimate to bring her right in.
Yeah, buddy.
Find the pick. So, like, I still think their comp is fine. Pointing at him, give him the fist bump. Oh,
there we go. There we go. All right, Raz, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who won the draft? Who won the draft? Give me a name.
Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns of Love. Okay. He's saying Unicorns of Love. I want to see Zed get 15 kills or something. This is a kind of champion that I love to see. It's high risk. It's high reward. Yeah, it doesn't get picked most of the time because it can't wave clear and stall and do that kind of Resident Sleeper stuff, but he does all the things that make you excited to watch League of Legends, and I love the fact that in their elimination match, Pentanet just locks it in. That is just the most Chad play.
It is. Like, this is literally the most hype game it can be for Pentanet. It's the most important game it is for them. If they lose here, they just lose the head-to-head versus them. So, like, in a tiebreaker situation, this is as bad as it can get if they end up losing. So for Pentanet, they must have practiced this. I'm not going to just say that they just threw this on for stage purposes. Chaz has, once again, a large pool. I want to see what all that practice has culminated to. What does it look like, Pentanet? Show the world.
So, all right, Raz, here's my, I'm putting on my tinfoil hat, and I'm going down the rabbit hole of trying to solve this here. Because you say they must have practiced it, right?
Absolutely.
I saw a thread, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Reddit, it was on some of that social media stuff, whatever, about how the Pentanet players were talking about, in OS, you're kind of separated from everybody else. It's harder to find scrim partners and whatnot. And so they talked about after they won, after they qualified for MSI, they're just like, well, we're just playing solo queue for a few weeks mostly. So that means that they couldn't have scrim partners be like, nah, remake draft. Zed's not a real pick. Come on, take it seriously. They just go play Zed in solo queue for 50 games, and all of a sudden you got your Zed practice in. Maybe if this ends up being the smurfest pick of the whole tournament so far, it was their weakness that actually became their strength.
Get in the lab, ladies and gentlemen.
This is my theory. This is my theory. Worth noting that I never even made it to Masters, so I'm not that smart, so my theory's probably wrong. So.
At the end of the day, they still ended up getting scrims, albeit very late. So, learning the meta as it goes. And also just if you ever, talk to any of the people on Pentanet, they always have like a very open mind when it comes to drafting. When can we play something that's definitely off meta, more seen? And in this case, Zed is pretty happy because he has a set, a Nidalee and Galio. Like in terms of damage profile, it is diversified for the time for the side of Pentanet. And also, they can just straight up dive. And their options are decent. The Kaisa, as I mentioned earlier on, Lee Sin can be an option. It's just very difficult if I look towards Nautilus, who's a great lockdown. Vladimir, who can also just be in and out of a fight. We didn't even get to talk about Vladimir. He received quite a few buffs. And also item buffs. Like, ability haste does so much for him. And the cooldown reduction that he got from the specific buffs to the champion make him just a demon later on in the team fights, weaving in and out of fights. So definitely watch out for Vladimir if the game goes long.
Also, do want to point out, Electrocute for Vlad as his keystone. I know that Phase Rush is often the team fighting rune for the champion, makes him scarier in those late game situations when he can just run in there and move at 12,000 miles per hour and stick to a target. But Electrocute will allow him snappier trades, more powerful, quick trading instances for the laning phase to make sure they can survive against Chaz a little bit better and have a bit more of a fighting chance here early on.
This is all for the Elite 500 fans out there. Get your dose.
That's literally where I learned these rune differences. I read his Vladimir doc.
There we go. Learn from the best out there.
Don't expose me, Raz. I'm trying to pretend that I'm smart out of my own brain. All right, let's see where our junglers are. They're both in the bottom half of the map. I'm excited for this jungle matchup in particular because Lee Sin versus Nidalee, I already said it's a classic. Both of these champions can completely take over a game or be utterly useless if they can't hit their skill shots. It's so much of a skill check against each other. It's so much of a skill check whenever they go to gank. I love to see it.
Oh, this looks like it could be a gank setup. No, it's just going to be Santas solidifying Scuttle Crab here for Nidalee. They have to fight for this, but now this is going to be a bad situation for Pabu. He's going to get double scuttled.
Yup, Ananasix got the faster path to the topside river. They've got control over every single lane. They had the rotations there first. Nocturne's already going over to the crab, just getting it leashed for him. Says, here you go, sir. See you again soon. Yeah, man, that is some fantastic VIP service right there.
Really well played. The entire team recognized that. This is just the difference between Nidalee going full clear, full camps, and going straight on towards Logic.
Yeah, Logic down to 250 HP there as they go in. Decoy spinning both summoner spells, getting both of Logic's in return.
Yeah, thankfully for Unicorns of Love, Pabu's already topside, so he's not going to be there for a possible dive, but Boss has to watch out here.
Okay, Boss takes pretty much no damage from that Haymaker that had nearly 0 grit on it, so it doesn't matter too much. Boss trying to stand and fight here, just gets the better of Pabu early on, but now that Ananasix shows up, Pabu's forced to flash away.
Boss insta-spell shield that one. He expected Pabu to be there. That was actually just beautiful. And then full challenged Nidalee there, recognizing that Ananasix was going to be in the area. Well done from Boss there to turn it on. Pabu, he loses his flash.
Pabu now without the flash. We'll see if that gets punished as we move forward. Down here in the bottom lane, Logic and Santas are able to get this wave crashed into the turret and then get themselves back. So we'll see Praedith get back into lane in time to pick up that cannon minion. Tons of extra CS here available for him to collect as long as he's able to last hit it properly. And that'll mean that our farm is actually pretty even in every lane.
Yes.
I mean, mid lane's a 4-3 maybe now difference, and that was the largest one. So very even laning here in the first 5 minutes of this game.
And good news for Pentanet because of how their bot lane has been doing. They got the first base off, and they're going to be able to slow push the second wave coming back into the lane. This means that Nidalee has the opportunity to go for the first dragon of the game. It just depends on if she wants to do that or if she just wants to prioritize her clear here. It seems like if I'm just looking at the minimap, wave is going to be crashing. Nidalee might not be starting it and just want to see what they're going to be doing with their time. At the very least, that means that Scuttle Crab should be picked up. But Santas is here ready. And also, yeah, Pabu is way too low. So this is not going to be a challenge that I was expecting. That means that the Lee Sin should be the one picking up the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, you also saw a couple of assist me pings in the blue color there on the minimap. So, and that was around mid lane. So Pentanet knows that mid might have some issues here sometime soon. No Man scaling up on the Vladimir, already level 6 now. Remember that Vladimir's early laning phase is often pretty weak, but considering the fact that Transfusion just has a really long cooldown early on. Once he hits level 7, it starts to feel comfortable. Once he hits level 9, it starts to feel really good.
Get your full rank up on your Q, so you're going to be trading a lot more effectively. And also, I just wanted to see what the idea is going to be going up against Chaz. Has Ignite, has his ultimate, can look for a play if Decoy is in the area with his ultimate for a full gank on towards No Man's.
Yep.
But just taking a look at what Unicorns have been doing towards the bottom side of the map, they just had full vision there. So it's nice to see that Pentanet is able to get Scuttle Crab and at least have some vision of the river.
And up top here, you can see these guys trading back and forth a little bit. BioPanther doing a good job of activating his Haymaker right as that fear is ticking down. That is one advantage of playing set into a champion like Nocturne. You know exactly when the hard CC is going to activate, so it's pretty easy to time your shield and absorb all that. But we've got a 4-man dive on the menu here in bottom lane. Pentanet looking for the first blood. Pabu will make his way down here. Decoy's going to be drumming the aggro. Santos left for dead right now as first blood goes over to Pentanet.
They just start the dive before Zed even gets there. He's going to be a little sad. He should lose out in farm in doing so. But the overall picture, Pentanet recognize the window they have and look for the dive. It's nice to be able to see this from them, but instantly from Unicorns of Love, pick up the full top lane camps and also threaten BioPanther off his turret, so it's not as if they're just getting everything for free.
Right. But you will see Pentanet now grabbing the first Drake of the game for themselves as well. Not as early as we saw RNG get the one in the previous game, but still 7.5 minutes. Good setup for yourself. If you can continue to control these neutral areas, specifically that bottom side river, might be able to stack further and further towards that soul. You can see now Boss having to go ahead and get on out of the enemy jungle now. Everybody's respawning. They're back on the map. You don't want to overcommit and get caught out and lose that advantage that you earned by getting that first blood in the bottom lane.
Absolutely. Unicorns of Love was trying to threaten, trying to say that we can dive you top lane. In fact, they're still going to try. No Man's is going to be ready for this. BioPanther.
BioPanther will walk in. Might walk way too close to a 3-man goon squad. BioPanther is seen. Steps away from the Sonic Wave, and they don't want to overcommit now.
Yeah, they didn't even expect him to make the full travel over there, actually. But, you know, well protected. And also BioPanther, when he was sticking under turret, so he didn't actually lose experience throughout all of that, was completely fine with a 2-man dive. If 2 people dove him, a set?
Yeah, you're set. It doesn't matter. You have Haymaker. You can just give yourself a 600 HP shield. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And also can outplay off of just, you know, the usual flash E type of things that we've seen and failed dives in the past. But this is going to be a nice Rift Herald here for Unicorns of Love. So they pivoted their bot lane vision up towards top side really effectively.
Yep, they'll secure that one for themselves. BioPanther on the losing end of a trade here against Boss. Goes for the E, doesn't find it anyway. Even if it hit, there was a spell shield there, so it's actually better for him that it didn't hit him. As Decoy and Chaz will continue to work together here. Decoy clearing out some of the vision. Chaz staying close enough in case they try to punish him. And with Pabu back here in the bottom side river, he'll be able to secure yet another Scuttle Crab for his team. Still slightly behind his opponent in terms of farm, but honestly not far enough for it to matter.
Yeah, and speaking of behind, you're right, because Logic has been playing a lot of respect to Pentanet that had full vision bot side. Now they're playing...
Oh, Decoy's got the taunt. Now we got ourselves a fight here. Logic falling back a little bit with Santos taking the damage on the front line. Pentanet backing away. They do not want to stick around so long if their opponents can collapse in time. No Man's is here. He's ready to go. Sonic Wave. Will there be a resonating strike? No, there will not. Ananasik knows that he would be far too far ahead of the rest of his team and would just be signing his own death warrant.
Yeah, absolutely good decision from Pentanet to just back off there. You're not playing for anything. Dragon is so far off, and also, you know, Unicorns of Love are just getting position on you. They even had Nocturne roam up from top lane to mid lane just to be there for the 5v4 potentially. So Pentanet saw that. We're saying, no, we're backing away. Good decision from them ultimately.
Both mid laners still 0-0-0 here this game. You pointed out how Chaz, despite the fact that he wanted to be part of the play in the bottom lane, wasn't quite able to rotate down there in time. We'll see which one of these two can come online sooner. Pabu back here in the bottom lane now. Decoy's going in, lands the taunt. Santos buffers through part of that as the spear flies out, but he dodges away from the damage.
It is very difficult to find a kill on towards a Nautilus. It's completely different if the Nautilus is trying to hook the Galio in. But also, if you're just trying to straight up set up for a lane gank there or a gank in that position, not going to happen.
Okay, we've got both junglers hovering around the mid lane, seeing if maybe their mid laner can bait the opponent into a bad spot here. Ananasik hanging around. Remember that Zed, while he does have some evasive maneuvers, is still easier to kill than Vlad would be. Empowered Transfusion ticking down, so he won't be able to heal up there with that one. Chaz and Pabu trying to defend here against Shelly, who should get the charge off, no problem. No Man's gets one extra Q off on Pabu, but fully retreats there using the Ghost just to make sure they don't get punished.
Yeah, not the best use of Rift Herald. You're not really getting anything off that. Dragon's a minute and 30 away. I'm understanding, like, even if it's timing out, you would probably want to still be able to use it on the side lane so you can get more turret plates a little bit more safely. But, you know, getting gold on towards No Man's was the idea. Had to walk away, so that's going to be a lot of gold on towards the 9-6 pocket.
And Boss just goes ahead, backs all the way up. BioPanther will be left to clear out those last couple of minions. Pabu was there just in case Boss randomly decided he wanted to go for a trade, but of course there's no reason to make that decision, so it doesn't happen.
Right.
Prowler's Claw, done for Chaz. So more gap closing, more stickiness to the chosen target, and more damage amp when he goes in. Multiplicative damage amps, Raz. You use your ulti for one, you use the Prowler's Claw for one, you got damage on top of damage.
You ain't getting away. That's a lot of DPS that Logic has to really worry about. And if we're just talking about lethality items, Lee Sin picking up the Eclipse in the jungle. It's that highlight Lee Sin play. So if they find somebody, especially the Nidalee, who doesn't have stopwatch just yet, going to be a victim. Oh no, Logic's in a pretty bad position.
Praetor's going in, but Praetor's now in a bad spot. On a Gnostic looking for the damage onto him, but the exhaust is there, and here's your ulti! Praetor picks him up, but now Boss has come in. He's got one kill in return. It's a 1-for-1 so far, making a 2-for-1 in favor of Pentanet, who are seriously fighting for their lives here in this group, and I'm loving to see it. No Man's now looking to see if there's an angle here to defend. Chaz going after him in the 1v1. We'll see if he goes any further for that one. Prowler's Claw. No Man's flashing over the wall to stay alive. Has Empowered Transfusion ready. Heals up just a little bit from the Hemo Plague. Back here in the bottom lane, it's Santis going in. Finds the Dredge line on the BioPanther. As now Decoy has to rotate back down to the bottom lane, maybe to save him. Nope, it's set, man. He's tanky enough. And Pentanet, not only do they win the trade 2-for-1, but they now will be able to grab themselves their second trade.
It's happening, Cap. Pentanet in a must-win game are doing it on their picks. It's the Zed, it's the Samira for Praetor that is doing so well here. And even though, you know, take a look at this one, it looks so contentious. But it's the Galley ultimate that comes through, and they double down towards an Anasik. And even though Boss gets a flash and execution there, you're still in a very bad spot. So great trade from Pentanet. And they had Dragon, the Vladimir, who's still scaling up, is still holding out the mid lane, is not going to be a part of that fight. So Unicorns of Love, they have a great composition as the game goes on, but they're playing on Pentanet's terms, and it's net them their second dragon of the game.
Yep, and it's an Ocean Soul now.
Nice.
Because when I saw the first Drake being Infernal and then the emblem for the second one showing Mountain, you know that the soul then has to be the Ocean or the Cloud, and pretty much everyone would want it to be Ocean in that situation. So for Pentanet, this feels really good that you've invested in this Drake control early on, and you have a very valuable soul now to continue playing for with the lead that you have so far. The question I'm going to pose to you, Raz.
Hit me.
1,500 gold lead. Is that good enough 14 minutes into this game against a composition that has scaling like a Vladimir and like a Kaisa?
I don't think so, but it's more so... Oh, my God.
Autognostic's going in, but he's taking a lot of damage on the way there. Praetor nearly kills him. That is not the angle he was looking for.
That was definitely a drive-through, in and out. You need to get it out of there fast.
Well, No Man's is now going to find himself caught. CC's coming out, turns into a blood puddle, and now he's going to be a different kind of blood puddle, splattered all over the ground. Nice kill for Pentanet.
Unicorns of Love are the ones that set up for the play. It's Pentanet that finish it, and they're looking for a dive towards top lane, so Unicorns of Love have to peace out.
Okay, Pabu now getting punished here a little bit. Uses the stopwatch to buy himself a moment longer. Chaz now backing up too. Pabu continues the retreat. Pentanet has 4 bodies up here in this top lane. BioPanther will be left in the bottom side to defend against Boss in the split push. But the first turret of the game is about to drop, and it's about to mean a lot of money in Pentanet pockets.
Incredibly awkward for Unicorns of Love. The setup felt very intricate. Anasik was definitely expecting to get a good kickoff to set up his team. Didn't happen. No Man's didn't get the play, and didn't get the memo, that is. And so he ended up really just falling short there. And now this is going to be Rift Herald. Second Rift Herald for Pentanet that's actually been putting in a lot of damage on towards bottom lane turret, and can actually put that through mid, get priority through mid, go towards bottom lane, and net 2 turrets for themselves. A really good start for Pentanet here.
Okay, so now the problem is, Raz, that question that I asked you earlier is completely worthless.
Yep.
Because 1 minute later, now I'm going to ask it again with the new details. 3,000 gold, 15 minutes in. Is that good enough?
I'm an on-field reporter, and I'm saying it's looking pretty good.
Okay, all right. So that was the difference that we needed. We needed to have Pentanet find another one of those good sequences, find some more success, and they do it in the top lane by shutting down Unicorn's playmaking and then turning it right back against them, taking down that first turret for themselves, and Pentanet are feeling great about the current state of the game. 4-1, 2 minutes until that next Drake spawns. This is the point where they start having to answer it for the side of Unicorns of Love. You do not want to let Pentanet have that third Drake 18 minutes in the game and spend the next 15 minutes answering each and every one.
Yeah, because Pentanet has been grouping up really well. Grouping up, that is. And their composition, the core of the comp, is set Galio engage. So I don't care who's your frontliner. If Nautilus is trying to be the primary engager, he's gonna be being sent straight in towards the Kai'Sa and the Lee Sin. So the start of these fights are very clear and very easy go buttons for Pentanet. And it's gonna be Unicorns of Love that needs to be creative. Thankfully, they have Nocturne side lane. So if they try and put Nocturne on towards the side lane and Chaz is there, they can obviously like look for a play on him. Now that he has teleport in about 5 seconds, they can use Nocturne ultimate, TP on towards the play on top side, and catch Pentanet off guard. These are the type of things we need to see.
How do we feel about the Zhonya's Hourglass Rush from Pabu? I know there's been plenty of discussion in the past about mythic item selection for Nidalee, but Pabu has decided to pump the brakes on that a little bit, go for the playmaking potential of that permanent stasis instead. How do we feel about this, Raz?
Hit that one more time, because I was looking at your boy Popo's question, or point more so on just liking to see Chaz on the Zed to send it for the team. So I was focused on that.
I purposefully didn't read that one because it said send it so many times. I'm trying to give Quick Shot a break, man. So the question
hit me.
Okay, the question that I posed is Nidalee delaying mythic item for fully completed Hourglass Rush as opposed to just sitting on stopwatch, using it once, and then waiting a little bit later. Is this the right call for that extra playmaking and aggro drop potential as opposed to the strict power of a mythic?
I think so. We're seeing a lot of skirmishes. So even if stopwatch is to be, if you're just holding on that, you're getting through so many fights that the second fight you're not going to have that. Here's another play though.
Okay, No Man's losing half HP. Ananasic looking for maybe an opportunity to kick somebody in, but there's just no angle here. Boss is ready. Everybody else is here and ready to go. No Man's having no Hemo Plague. That's a pretty big team fight tool not available. You lose the damage amp, you lose the healing. Decoy goes in, finds 2 with a taunt. Nice! Face breaker on to 4. Holy set! Lodic's gonna be taken down first. Biopanther grabbing the kill. Ananasic dead next. It is 3 unicorns in the dirt. Endangered species about to go extinct. Goodbye, Unicorns of Love. Goodbye, Santos. He's trying to just hop away. Pabu jumps in for the auto attack. 5 for nothing. Call it an ace for Pentanet.
Biopanther is the boss in this game. That was the sexiest set ultimate of a lifetime. 4-man set up for this team to just go straight in there. And Nocturne, he saw a play, he tried to salvage it, go straight on towards Predath, had shield bow shield, so he could live it and get the kill. So, the new Axe Effect replay here, where it's all about Biopanther getting that setup and an insta-kill on Lodic, like we said at the very beginning of the game. This is what Pentanet needs to succeed, and they did that and more.
Holy cow, how does a man got 2 fists and breaks 4 faces all at once like that? And then Pabu just jumps in, doesn't need a skill shot. The dude has 12 HP. Flash for the auto attack, take him down. Look at the excitement behind the scenes. You love to see it. This is Pentanet. Give him the guns, baby, give him the guns. Pentanet is here to play. Remember, if they win this game, they then have a chance to earn themselves that second place spot if they beat RNG. But on the much higher likelihood that then they lose to RNG, it's a tiebreaker between these 2 teams again. And man, Pentanet is making this one fun to watch.
And this is where you do need to take a step back if you're Unicorns of Love. Like after that play. Ubisoft, of course, giving us finger guns and he wears sunglasses in the night so he can see plays like that. In extra HD, all right?
It lets you see into the 4th dimension, man.
Yeah. see the future, and the future's looking good for Pentanet.
It is looking great at this point. So what I want to ask you, Raz,
All right.
is what is the call here? Like, we've got a game pause, so we have the opportunity to talk about this without another skirmish interrupting it. What is the play for Pentanet to be able to close this game out cleanly from here? They've earned themselves the third Drake. They're at Soul Point.
Yes.
They've got a couple thousand gold lead. The kills are vastly in their favor, as is the tempo of the game. How do you close this out clean?
They haven't used the Nocturne, really all game long. And for me, Nocturne is really essential here. So, of course, like I mentioned, shutting out the lights with his ultimate, having a TP play on the opposite side of the map. We've seen this happen since the beginning of time with League of Legends. If you're behind in tempo, if you know where the enemy team is going to be setting up the next play, let's say top side, send a ward there if you want him to TP. Get a proper TP ward for him, because the enemy team is not going to have 5 members. That's not efficient to have all members on the same lane. There's going to be one person who's going to be on mid lane getting the wave prepped, and there's going to be 2 people, the jungle and support, that are going to be getting vision. So usually that is your timer to get a play and get a numbers advantage. And even though Shieldbow is there from Paredes, it's not like he's unkillable.
Right.
So if you just have 2 people, or if you're there for long enough and get a great timing advantage, then yeah, Unicorns Love have a chance. But these fights are very set up on objectives. Pentanet is getting there first. And so the setup is always there for Pentanet. This is the difficulty of Unicorns Love's play.
Yeah, Pentanet feels like they are just more comfortable in this game from minute 1. They felt like they're relaxed, they're cool, they're ready to go, they know what they need to do, while the Unicorns of Love just haven't been able to find that same level of cohesion. They haven't been able to really set things up in a way that lets them play the game that they want to play, right?
Yeah, and so I love that from Pentanet. I know a lot of people meme them. They even have their own track being, just hold on, we're going home from Drake, right? They play all of this, but like...
The meme lords.
They meme. They have fun with it. And they also are ultra confident. It's not like they're going to be broken by either the community raining nonsense on them, or like the games being so one-sided when they go up against an RNG, or the previous game versus Unicorns of Love. They know what they can do better for the next game, and they adapt from their usual picks. So they're not changing anything, at least from like their identity perspective. They're just saying we need to be aware that we need more engage options, and if we're losing, oh my god.
Okay. Nice kick coming out from Ananasic, but there's your Zonias. Pabu's staying safe for now, but he's got to fall back. Boss is ready to join. TP coming in. Shut down over to No Man's. That's the second kill of the game for the Unicorns of Love with a good punish on the enemy jungler.
There we go. That's the play I wanted to see from Nocturne. Shut the lights out, teleport right in there. So even though the team was around the area, you know, mostly playing through mid lane, they had a great window to get the kill on towards Pabu and stop the progression that Pentanet has had this game.
Okay, Santos now doesn't want to walk too much further forward than what he already is. Boss will clear out a couple of wards in the bottom side river. 3 minutes, Raz. 3 minutes is how long the Unicorns of Love have to find themselves some sort of stability, some sort of footing here in this game. Because after 3 minutes, they must fight for the Ocean Soul. And if you thought this game was difficult now, it will become much more so if they give that away 24 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and for everybody out there, the thing that you've seen all split long, all year long, honestly, is the effectiveness of having Soul Point. You don't have to play for your 4th dragon. For Unicorns of Love, that 1st dragon is useless. It doesn't do anything for them. It just prolongs the game. Where Pentanet can say, okay, if they have setup first, let's play towards Baron. Let's force them to walk into our Baron setup, and then Unicorns of Love are going to pray into what they've been praying into the entire game. So I want Pentanet to be, once again, confident with the setup that they've had. Even if there are stops within the game where Unicorns of Love are finding picks, doesn't mean too much. You still have, with 2 minutes left towards Dragon, if you don't have the setup on Drake, just set up top side, and Unicorns of Love will still come towards you.
I mean, League of Legends is a game where very small advantages can balloon into much greater things, right? And so when you look at a very low-risk, high-reward situation like a 3-0 Drake lead, it can mean so much in so many different ways. You can split push while they have to take the Drake. You can go for the Baron while they have to take the Drake. You can set up the whole map state while they have to take the Drake. There's a lot of options for Pentanet, but the only option for Unicorns of Love is do not let them have that soul. And that's the name of the game here. 80 seconds from now, Logic now taking the red buff, so he'll be ready for the fight. And if I'm looking at everybody on Unicorns of Love, I can see that we've got the Proto Belt plus a stopwatch for No Man, so we really need to see Vlad be able to get in there. That was another big problem with that last team fight they had in that bottom half of the river, is the fact that No Man's got caught out a little bit beforehand, had to use the Hemo Plague to stay alive, and they didn't have that for the team fight.
And even taking a look at just the itemizing as well, we're seeing a lot of grievous wounds, which is necessary.
Yes.
Vladimir hasn't had much of an impact this game, but this is when he starts shining. 25 minutes. When we get to the next dragon, which is happening right now with 23 minutes on the clock, 2 items onwards Vladimir. He just got his Zhonyas. He's going to be willing to fight now. If you have that, cut down that healing, he's definitely going to be, having issues not only walking towards dragon, is he going to get chunked out by Nidalee and all these things, but definitely when the fight actually ensues.
Yeah, the best time to buy Grievous Wounds against the healing champions is before they're unstoppable and you recognize that you need it. Keep them down before they truly rise to power when you're trying to deal with these guys who are going to regenerate their entire health bar. But now, the Unicorns of Love must answer Pentanet here at this 4th Drake. Santos will be the furthest up so far. He's the point man. Ananasic off on the flank here. They'll need a really big kick if they want to make something extreme happen. Pabu's not the target you can go in on. As soon as he sees you flying in onto a resonating strike, he can instantly press that stopwatch, get that Zhonyas. Decoy's deciding to go in, tries to get the taunt, but won't find it. That's his flash. It's a pretty big team fight tool. Pentanet spending that one. More control wards being placed down by the Unicorns of Love. Chaz will remain there in the pixel brush. Santos losing half HP. Santos is about to be out of the picture. Boss will be your next target here. Pabu with the first kill of the fight. You got BioPanther buying some time here in a 1v3. Why on earth y'all trying to kill Set? That's not the guy that you're going to have any sort of effective DPS against. Now you've got Pentanet with control over the Drake Pit. A 5v4. And the enemy team trying desperately to fight against this. There's your Vladimir ulti. There's your team fight coming in. Into the back line goes Logic. Praetive grabbing the kill onto Boss. Now with a shutdown coming out, Chaz will fall. Both carries dead on the side of Pentanet. Is this how the Unicorns are able to fight back? Pabu is still here. Ananasic has no smite. Pabu also waiting for the cooldown on his. Another pool comes out from No Man's, using that stasis, staying alive a little bit longer, but BioPanther with a perfectly timed haymaker. Ananasic goes in. Ananasic goes back to the spawn platform. It is a team fight and an ocean soul for Pentanet.
What an expanding brain from Pentanet throughout the entire fight, how well played that was, because when it was Unicorns of Love fighting to get vision, just trying to split up, so forcing Pentanet's hand, it was set. It was BioPanther that got the flash off Santos, ended up meaning that they get the kill later on, and just seeing as this fight plays out, BioPanther plays this one out so fantastically. Great fight overall from Vladimir and Logic, but Logic doesn't have much support on the back half, ends up dying. You're right, 2 carries did die from Pentanet, but they recognized if they played around the timers of the Galio taunt, that they can still get that, and a perfectly timed set W to nullify No Man's. Because if he stayed a second longer, he had the empowered Q to get back HP, so they needed to get that perfectly, and he did it.
BioPanther now going in. Stride breaker, face breaker, good by Logic. Praetive takes the kill, and with the enemy 80 carry dead, Raz, you smell that?
Smelling like chicken in the Baron. Get that man.
Oh, this
Let's
smells
go.
like a Baron play, my friend. And we've got Pentanet immediately over to the big purple worm, daring Unicorns of Love to come stop them. BioPanther knows his team has plenty of damage to take the objective without him contributing, so he will run interference, trying to keep everybody away. Ananasic, that's the guy that you really have to keep away from here. BioPanther's going in, using the stride breaker. Chaz comes over the wall trying to deal with him. Ananasic jumping into the pit now. No Man's going to be taken very low. Baron down to about 1,300. Ball's grabbing the shutdown there, but Baron Nashor goes over to Pabu, and Pentanet just cleans everybody up.
Oh man, I was concerned because once that light shuts off, Praetive was dealing with multiple people that it was just way too hard for Unicorn to clean up. And that coin toss that we saw from Baron, it's Pabu that nets it. Baron for Pentanet, and they're chasing them down.
Chaz will not let Santos away from this one, and unfortunately for the Unicorns, since it took so long for Santos to die, your death timers are horribly desynced now. Santos will not be back for another 15 seconds after Ananasic. They're still pushing towards 2 different lanes. BioPanther will take out the tier 2 in top. The rest of the team's going to take out the tier 2 in mid. Holy moly, Pentanet is here to keep fighting for that spot in the next stage.
I think too many people were focusing on the top, the RNG in this group. And not a lot of people were talking about Pentanet versus Unicorns of Love going back and forth. And it's Pentanet that's coming in, getting this one back in a must-win game. Take a look at this. Praetive is down. I'm concerned. but it was the Baron that was picked up by Nidalee, the shut down on towards Boss, and the chase down on Ananasik. That was just a clean sweep from Pentanet because they knew if Unicorns of Love are looking for the fight, don't switch targets. Consistently take the fight because you are much farther ahead gold-wise. They win it, and they have Ocean Soul, they have Baron. They can really play this one out and finish it.
This game has been such a diffy in the jiffy, too. 8-1-5 for the Nidalee of Pabu, while Ananasik, the Lee Sin, 1-4-3. This is not a champion that feels super great to play from behind. And Unicorns of Love feel like there's just practically no way back into the game at this point, barring a major error from Pentanet. Decoy jumps forward, won't quite be able to find any lockdown on anyone just yet. The remaining Tier 2 turret here in the bottom lane will fall. Boss, Ananasik, Santos, they can't do anything about this. And you've got Bio Panther pushing up mid lane as well. The classic 4-1 Baron split. Bring those waves in, smash them into the turrets, get as much pressure everywhere as you can. Praedyth will step up and take pot shots at the turret whenever we can. Nice use of the W there to block the dredge line, but now Decoy's going in. They decided it's time to fight. Santos runs away. They've almost got the turret out of the picture. They'll take it down now. Decoy staying alive. Ananasik the first one to die. Boss gonna be killed off next. It's Reset City, baby. Double kill over to Chaz, and that will do it. Do some sit-ups underneath that turret, baby. Get them ab workouts in there. Pentanet stays alive and guarantees themselves at worst a tiebreaker to move on to the next stage.
That's some sick ad workout because you ain't done yet. There are still games to play, and it feels like Pentanet are all warmed up.
Holy moly, what a show! Coming out from the LCO representatives, man. Remember, this is a team. Their region dissolved. So much of their players left. And the players that remain formed this squad. They won the region, they made it here, and now they strike back. They even up the score against the Unicorns of Love. What an awesome show from Pentanet here in this 5th game of the day.
You've been asking me a lot of questions, Cap, so I'm going to ask you one.
All right, what do you got? What do you got?
Who's going to be the one going home? You know, we talk about that song a lot, but it feels like Pentanet are the ones sending the message over to Unicorns of Love and you're presenting the team and the excellent bow. What's your answer? What are you feeling
Man,
like?
I'm a believer now. These guys have unshakable mental. They locked in the Zed. I said Zed or bed. They weren't going to bed no time soon. I'm a believer, man. Pentanet seems like they got the sauce.
What a game. What a group. I was praying that we wouldn't see a one-sided affair and that we would see, Pentanet at least contest because they were the ones that needed to win this to push this towards a potential tiebreaker. And remember, we still have an extra game. I'm not just we're not just assuming that, of course, like, okay, maybe I'm going to assume that RNG is going to take it. I don't want to.
Okay.
Adrenaline's running a little bit too much, but also, like, it was Pentanet that needed to be able to win this to have control of their fate. And it feels like that everything was going against them with how one-sided it felt like these days were going and how Unicorns of Love were the ones that were getting stronger at the very beginning of the day versus RNG and also in their game versus Pentanet. Like, I was really high on Santos, and they're engaged, and they're all inning on team fight as their identity. But Pentanet came in and challenged that, and they're doing a damn good job.
Yeah, remember, Pentanet, if they manage to pull off the miracle game and beat RNG, they will lock themselves in as the second team in the group and they'll move on. However, if RNG beats them, as RNG has done in every other game so far in this group, that means that we will get to see one tiebreaker at the end of the day between these two teams once more. But now it's time for us to go to a break here again. Coming up next, we'll hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk as Pentanet stay alive at MSI 2021.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. I can't hear my producer in my ear, so we may need to fix that one. Pentanet GG got their revenge on the Unicorns of Love. They have set the stage for a potential rematch for a spot in the Rumble stage. And why do I say potential? Because it does mean that if Pentanet take down RNG, there will be no tiebreaker and Pentanet will be able to advance. If, however, they lose to RNG, we will.
Smells like coping in here.
We'll have to find out. I do have some news about the RNG roster, which we'll get to at the end of the segment. Let's immediately jump into the draft and break down how relatively easily, Pentanet were able to win. What did you make of the champions they put together?
Well, Pentanet were over on the blue side, and I think to start things off, to my shock and a lot of people's shocks, it's still a blue side Rumble ban, which I don't love. But at the same time, it seems like a lot of our preconceived notions about drafting on this patch are out the window because Nidalee is the pick between these two junglers. Pabu looked like a completely different player on it, so I am in full support. I bought in for today that Nidalee is a viable first pick.
Yeah, I actually agree with Raz on the caster desk that I really favored Unicorns of Love in this draft. If you think about the way that PGG have to fight in later game team fights, they're almost a full melee composition running into a Vladimir, and Nocturne is actually a very hard counter to Galio. He takes away ability for your heroic entrance, so I felt like this game was Unicorns of Love's to lose if they could hold on into the early mid game, but really the third Drake was what really shifted the entire momentum of the match.
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally in agreement. I think overall, like, the composition looks better, and I think the best counter to Pentanet was just like, well, we want to be put on our comfort all of a sudden, right? Pabu got the Nidalee. Chaz got an aggressive mid laner you don't expect. I think he's coming off of a game against RNG where he got so much confidence by playing his Kiana, getting the solo kill in mid lane. So he says, yeah, give me the Zed. All of a sudden, we see him roaming with Pabu towards the bot lane, and then Praedyth, he's back on that Samira to get another one.
You have to tell me more about Praedyth, because we have been saying all day long that the bottom lane for Pentanet has been in their favor. During the course of that game, Ender, you turned to me and went, you know, Pentanet have a lot of dragon control. We looked into it. 11 dragons secured to the 5 of UOL, and that's because the bottom lane from Penta is always able to push out, make the first move on the map.
Yeah, and the trade ends up being that in most games, they've played 4 games now, it's been always like the first 2 Drakes of the game are going Pentanet's way, and the Rift Heralds are going to be going to Anonasik. And, well, when top lane and mid lane are winning for the Unicorns, well, the extra gold you get helps you win the third fight for the third Drake of the game, and it completely starts putting it back in your favor. Yet, the problem is, when those lanes weren't naturally winning and the jungler wasn't ahead with Anonasik, well, then Pentanet are just picking up everything across the board.
We can see the replays on your screen as well as the stats. The Samira is working out for Praedyth despite his proficiency on Kai'Sa during the LCO regular season. Hasn't had that same impact. But now, Clement, what did you make of this advantage? Because it felt as though the very early lead generated by Praedyth, and then became a little bit of the Pabu show as he continued to spread that advantage across the map.
I do think the advantage came from the general draft overall. Zed early on was able to move quite freely throughout the map. And if you look at the builds, Nomads actually did not go for an early Seekers. This was I have to be online and rush as fast as possible to my 3-item carry point. So he was actually getting pushed in quite frequently by the Zed. And that's why bot lane suffered a lot as well. But, you know, overall, I felt like the early game, you expect it to go into PGG's favor. But the third Drake was huge. I think for Drake, there were so many mistakes made on UOL. First off, they lose the Vladimir ultimate because BioPanther got a heroic facebreaker, and then they still walk into the team fight. That was kind of the doom moment from UOL, and they lose 5 members because of that. That means they have no chance of holding on to the early game anymore, and they never get that 3-item Vladimir into a 5v5 team fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. The setup and decision-making around the Drakes, like you mentioned the third Drake, I think the actual soul for the Ocean Soul for Pentanet ended up being very similar, where Unicorns got into a situation where there's 2 people coming in the north choke point, there's 3 people coming in the south one, and, well, they actually can't get any traction. They can't get any of those players into River. It makes it very easy for Pentanet to just turn and say, well, with a Galio, we can control this entire zone, all of a sudden jump on 2 players, get an easy kill, and then zone away the jungler from the pit.
We do have another game between PGG and UOL, very likely, assuming that RNG go undefeated. So I do want to just move us along as quickly as we can. Let's focus on Pabu, and as we bring up some of the B-roll of how Pabu's Nidalee had an impact, this was a game where Pentanet stabilized the top lane. BioPanther not bullied by boss. They got advantages in the bottom lane, and crucially, Ender, we were saying Pabu needed to have an answer to Anonasik.
Well, Pabu was finally on a jungler that's clearing faster than whenever Anonasik is running. He has tempo in his lanes to be able to work off of them and make plays, and he just felt comfortable on this Nidalee, landing his skill shots, going in when he could. It was very aggressive play out of him, and I think this is what we need to see from Pabu, because I don't think it's unfair to say that Pabu's showing so far far at MSI had been pretty weak. He'd sacrificed himself a lot in the jungle to make plays work, and it finally felt like this was a game where he got to be a little bit more selfish and still get his team ahead.
I mean, 73 kill participation, 8, 1, and 9. Fantastic performance from Pabu. And as I mentioned, time is short as we're moving on to RNG versus PGG. Before that, though, the Mercedes drive to victory, presented by Mercedes-Benz, is PGG's ace around that third Ocean Drake that Clement has been speaking so much about.
Yeah, this definitely was kind of the turning moment into the game, and it really is about Vladimir not having that ghost, not having that ultimate coming into this fight here. Unicorns of Love actually have no business coming here, and I have to say BioPanther really just slammed this one. This was a slam dunk. He gets the 4-man stun onto everyone, and there's just no escaping after that one. So honestly, Unicorns of Love, they still had the late game, they still had that chance, but they really kind of ran it down, sending it the wrong way, I guess you could say, in this team fight, and allowing PGG to snowball it away.
Clement, I really appreciate the evolution of that meme throughout the day. Okay, so it is now 2 wins apiece, okay? 2 wins to Pentanet, 2 wins to the Unicorns of Love. They have traded 1, 1, 1, 1. We are going to get a potential best of 5 if Pentanet are defeated by RNG. But Clement, I'm unsure if you've heard just yet, RNG are taking to the Rift. They have subbed out Crying. Xiaohu is moving to the mid lane, and please just correct my pronunciation here, is that Xiaobai is now stepping into the top lane. What does that mean?
So I think they're just trying to test players out. I don't really expect Xiaobai to be playing much in the Rumble stage. This guy was a sort of your standard, we call blue-collar top laner, which means you just go and be a punching bag in top lane. You get no resources, you teleport to the bot lane.
Oh, we call those
That's what a
dog champs in
blue-collar top
Europe.
laner means. Okay. There's some good cultural cross-references here. So I don't really see Xiaobai standing in a long time. This is obviously great news for PGG, but I think they're just trying to give their up-and-coming talent some more exposure on the international stage.
Clement, I'm going to give you one last opportunity here to give me a percentage of how much the odds have increased for PGG to win. I want to know, what would their percentage chances of winning been with Xiaohu at the top lane and now with Xiaobai?
So I will tell the story about RNG. Last year, when they had Xiaobai in the top lane, they were not a playoff team. But when they swapped over Xiaohu this year, they actually won the entirety of the LPL. So I will say there was a massive difference, but this team has learned a lot. They've gained a lot of confidence. I would say that there's maybe a 25% that PGG gets to walk away if RNG are feeling kind of gracious and they're going on to the full happy mode.
That is huge. 25%. And basically what Clement just said is with Xiaobai, RNG cannot make playoffs. That's what he said. I heard it. After the break, we'll see if Pentanet can pull off a miracle and secure a spot in the Rumble stage, avoiding the tiebreaker with UOL. If they go down, we have one extra game, and you know how we love ties in Europe. MSI tiebreakers, baby!